It was a Thursday, October 9th to be exact. In the small forgotten town of Oakhaven, the rain had a way of washing the colour out of everything. It fell not in a furious downpour, but in a steady melancholic drizzle that seemed to seep into the very bones of the old clapboard houses. The streets were slick and dark, reflecting the gloomy bruised sky above. Street lamps flickered on early, casting long, lonely halos onto the empty sidewalks. It was the kind of day that made you want to stay inside, to pull the curtains and listen to the quiet rhythm of the drops against the window pane. A day for secrets. The wind whispered through the skeletal branches of the oak trees that gave the town its name. It carried the scent of wet earth and decaying leaves, the smell of autumn surrendering to winter. Cars moved slowly, their headlights cutting feeble paths through the mist, their wipers keeping a hypnotic, rhythmic beat. The town square, usually a place of quiet chatter and neighbourly greetings, was deserted. Just a few lonely figures, heads bowed under umbrellas, scurrying from one doorway to the next. Down by Miller's Creek, the water ran high and muddy, churning with a quiet ferocity. The old covered bridge looked like a dark moor in the fading light. Every sound was muffled by the persistent rain, the distant bark of a dog, the mournful cry of a train whistle miles away. As the clock tower struck 3, its chimes swallowed by damp air, no one could have known what was coming. The rain kept falling, an indifferent witness as the day slipped toward a deeper kind of darkness. He was just a boy, 11 years old, Ben Harper, a shock of sandy blonde hair that always seemed to fall into his eyes, and a constellation of freckles across his nose. He was the kind of kid you'd see everywhere and nowhere at once. Quiet, but not shy. He had a secret smile he saved for his parents, a deep love for comic books, and a hunger for adventure stories. His room was a cartography of wonder, hand-drawn maps of fantastical lands, carefully assembled plastic spaceships, toy monsters on patrol. His father, Tom, worked the lumber mill, hands calloused and strong. His mother, Sarah, tended aches and fevers at the county clinic. They were a simple family, school plays, weekend fishing trips, pizza nights on Fridays. Their blue house on Chestnut Street had a squeaky porch swing and a garden Sarah kept with loving care. Ben was their world. Every morning he rode a brilliant cherry-red Schwinn, a birthday gift. His freedom, his trusty steed along winding lanes and hidden paths around Oakhaven. But on that Thursday, Sarah drove him in the rain. The red bicycle stayed in the garage. A clinic emergency. A message left: walk home and be careful. A simple instruction. A journey he would never complete. The final bell shrieked through the halls of Oakhaven Elementary. Children spilled out, a flood of bright raincoats and bobbing umbrellas. Ben pulled the hood of his blue jacket over his head, shifting the weight of textbooks and a half-finished dragon drawing. He said goodbye to his friend, Michael, who climbed into a waiting station wagon. Ben was on his own. He started the walk, past the old bakery, its windows fogged with warmth and fresh bread, past the hardware store with its shovels and sacks of rock salt. He kept his head down, watching worn sneakers carve ripples through the puddles. Ordinary thoughts for an ordinary boy on an ordinary walk. But someone was watching. Or were they? In a small town, you know every car, every face, until the rain blurs the edges. A car slowing down, a voice calling a name. Was it a friend? A neighbour offering a ride out of the rain? Or something else entirely, something dark, predatory, cloaked by the weeping sky? The moment was fleeting, lost to the rain. The minutes ticked by. 3:15, 3:30. At the blue house on Chestnut Street, Sarah pulled in. Empty porch. He was just slow, she told herself. But when the mantel clock chimed 4, dread crept in, cold and sharp. She called Tom, then the police. The long walk home had stretched into an eternity, and the rain just kept falling. The news spread as it always does here, not like a wildfire, but like a rising tide. Did you hear about the Harper boy? He never made it home. Disbelief curdled into a collective sickening fear. This wasn't supposed to happen here. Oakhaven was safe. Doors left unlocked, children playing until the streetlights came on, or so they thought. For Tom and Sarah, the world stopped. Their cosy home became a hollow epicenter, officers taking notes, neighbors helpless, Sarah with a school photo, eyes fixed on the door, Tom pacing, anguish raw and restless. That night, porch lights burned like beacons. Fathers checked sleeping children. Mothers held them tighter. Days bled together. Sorrow and suspicion settled. Friendly waves became hesitant. Parents drove their kids, eyes scanning every car, every pedestrian. Oakhaven was no longer a sanctuary, it was a crime scene. A blue jacket swallowed by rain, leaving a terrible silence and a question that haunted everyone. Who among us could do such a thing? The town held its breath, afraid of the answer. The search began at once, a race against fading light and the relentless clock. Police Chief Brodie, a veteran of fender benders and teenage mischief, suddenly helmed a crisis. Grids drawn, parties formed, loggers, shopkeepers, teachers, farmers, faces grim, determined, fanning into rain-soaked streets and fields. They searched every street, every alley, every backyard shed. Then the woods, dense and dripping, flashlights cutting murky twilight. They called his name again and again. Ben! Ben Harper! Echoes answered. Dogs, confused, could not hold a scent in the washed-out world. The investigation became a study in frustration. Everyone interviewed, nothing unusual, no strange cars, no suspicious faces, as if he vanished between the school gates and his own front door. Records checked, alerts statewide, no clues, no ransom note, no witnesses. Days became a week, the frenzy cooled to grim persistence, case files thick with dead ends. Not a runaway, they feared, but something planned. Weeks passed, 3 of them. The leaves fell, the rain gave way to a biting cold. The search scaled back, but he was not forgotten. His smiling school photo taped to windows and poles, yellow ribbons fading and fraying. Then a discovery. Saturday morning, 2 teenagers, skirting Blackwood Forest, a place dense and notoriously tangled, saw a flash of colour. They pushed through thorny brush, curiosity knotting into dread. They knew what it was, everyone would have known. It was a bicycle, a brilliant cherry-red Schwinn, Ben Harper's. Standing upright, leaned against a pine, clean save for specks of mud. No crash, no scratches, as if gently placed, waiting. Police arrived and sealed the scene. Shock spread through Oakhaven like frost. Why was it here? The forest lay miles opposite his route home. He had walked to school that day. He couldn't have ridden it here. Someone else had put it there. A clue left to be found, or a taunt from a faceless monster. The discovery of the red bicycle changed everything. The fear in Oakhaven, once a low hum, became sharp and piercing. It had a location now. Blackwood, once for teenage dares and quiet hikes, was recast in suspicion and dread. People looked to the tree line and shivered. The woods held a secret. The bicycle, now locked away, only deepened the question. What happened at the edge of those trees? With no outside leads, suspicion seeped into the bedrock. The quiet neighbour, the out-of-towner passing through. Every oddity, every twitch, newly sinister. Friendships frayed. Accusatory whispers replaced casseroles. Who could you trust when the monster might be your neighbour? They scoured the woods again. Cadaver dogs, grids upon grids. No footprints, no clothing, no Ben. The bike held only his smudges and a silence that felt like a dare. The perpetrator was smart, careful and cruel. A game was being played, and Oakhaven was an unwilling piece upon the board.